time. So good afternoon to you all. Thank you very much for once again joining us in this space that has become super popular among the ELT community, not only in Colombia, because as we can see here, we have some teachers from Egypt. And today we also have the presence of a teacher from Bolivia. I'm checking if our friend Juan Carlos Gordillo is still connecting from New York, who is another regular. So we have built this community based on the idea of having these webinars for our community. And then the idea, of course, is to exchange some ideas on how to include strategies to improve, maybe to impact our students' learning processes. And in that same line of thought, today we have the possibility to count with the presence of, yay, Professor Claudia Maria Uribe Hoyos, who's gonna enlighten us with her experience and expertise on how to work with pre-K students, which is like the twilight zone for some of us. So she has the experience and the expertise on this topic, and well, she's going to inform us, to teach us, to exchange with us her information so that we can possibly understand better and have a clearer idea on how we can actually approach this super interesting population. So with no further introduction, Professor Claudia, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for having accepted this invitation. And everyone, before we start, you know the modality here. If you have any questions or comments, please do not hesitate. You can type it on the chat, or you wait until the end of the presentation and then you ask directly our presenter. So thank you very much. And Claudia, Professor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jair, and thank you, everybody. Someone raised her hand. I saw a name, so I don't know if that is a question or well, I don't know. Thank you. This is like for me a very nice opportunity to know other people and to share some of the crazy ideas that we have about teaching kids. But it's not only about teaching kids; it's about the teachers who teach kids. So maybe today we are going to focus a little bit on teachers, and you're going to be saying like, Claudia, I want more. And well, that's the idea that we like grow up as a community. Okay. Okay, do I have problems with my sound? Yes. Let me
If you
let
can turn up a little
I'm,
bit the volume, that would be
I'm going to
perfect.
give me a
Please
second.
do. All right.
Is it better now?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
It's my voice sometimes is like
We have teachers' voice, so it's powerful.
yeah, okay. So okay, I'm going to read a poem. This poem is by one of my favorite authors. Is Charles Silverstein, right? And and I hope you enjoy it. And for that, we need the frame. And the poem name is Invisible Boy. And here we see the invisible boy in his lovely invisible house, feeding a piece of invisible cheese to a little invisible mouse. Oh, what a beautiful picture to see. Will you draw an invisible picture for me? Invisible Boy by Shel Silverstein. This is one of my favorite books. And I was thinking that it is an amazing opportunity to be here with you and to start with something that I love and I know that students love. And it's like using poems, using stories, and using things that connect with them. And I have a question for you. If you want, you share it with me. If not, we just leave it like that. And it's have you questioned your role as a pre-K teacher if you are a pre-K teacher? If not, have you questioned
Hello.
why you are not a pre-K teacher? Have you thought
Finally,
about that?
right? I don't know what was happening.
Someone is
Okay,
hanging
Camila,
up.
how are you doing?
Sorry, there is someone with a microphone on.
Yes,
I'm sorry for the interruption.
it's okay. It's
Someone
okay.
who was speaking with Camila. Say hello to Camila, but before that, please turn off the microphone.
Okay. So my question is for you to think: have you questioned your role in the pre-K classroom? And when you question it, have you thought of you as an English teacher, or have you thought of you as a language teacher in general? I mean, English and Spanish, or you have never thought about that? Why am I starting with this question? Because that's one of the questions I have in regarding working with children and regarding my exercise, like for 5 years or six, of teaching uh, preschool teachers to work with kids, but in English, not to work with kids because they know that. It's like to share with them my ideas and our constructions from the university I come. Aleida says, I was a pre-K teacher many years ago, and it was one of the most challenging experiences. I know, Aleida, it's not only challenging, it's amazing, it's rewarding, and I think that we should be preschool teachers, all of us, at least for a period. It doesn't matter if it is just our beginning in the life of teaching, in the teaching life, or if we continue like that, right? Today, I am going to be sharing with you, three elements that I have been thinking about that. And it's like uh, we're going to be focusing on the teacher, me. So everybody's going to be saying me, not Claudia, you, the child, and then the classroom or that community where we have the children and the students, or the teacher, I'm sorry. And I was asking a lot of my preschool teachers around Medellin and around Colombia to share some elements with me before this talk with you. And I am going to share some of them here. I asked for permission. And since we are having right now this pandemic and everything has changed, I thought it was amazing to listen to the voices of those teachers who are doing what they're doing and are teaching our kids in an amazing way. Allow me to read this for you. I had felt with this pandemic that teaching the youngest the second language remotely has made them use it more connected to their reality. They associate the concepts the teacher facilitates with what they have at their hands. This has become a more meaningful learning and has taken the child as the center and the discoverer, and me, the teacher, as the facilitator. I think, I don't know you, but for me, Claudia Uribe, this pandemic has been an amazing opportunity of reconsidering and reshaping my teaching identity. And I have also discovered that that is happening for all the pre-K teachers that I have been talking to. So I am going to start with this first thing. So we're going to be talking about that. I don't know if I should be reading because you have amazing comments, and I like that. It's because education allows to be in contact with the moment of our life that we need the most as humans. That's true, Carolina. Okay, so we're going to start talking about the teacher. And remember that the exercise is me, the pre-K, parentheses, language teacher. And I'm going to be sharing that with you. Some of these ideas are very common, you know them, but today I just want to start like moving those ideas around teaching in the pre-K classroom. And please, when you're thinking about that, think of private schools and also public schools, because I believe that we have not been like observing what is happening in public schools in Colombia, right? And they are doing a lot of things. They are changing the way they work with their kids, and they have amazing possibilities to share with us. Okay? When I start thinking about the pre-K English teacher, I say, okay, definitely the pre-K English teacher is not what some people think. Some people said that pre-K English teachers are jardineros, entertainers, or the ones who go and clean the kids. Of course, we do that. We do that. Not only in pre-K, we do that. We do a lot of things. But we are professional teachers, educated, that know about pedagogy and education, and we are organizing a scenario where the kids are going to be changing their conceptual structure, they are going to creating new ideas, and they are going to be providing new concepts. But that does not happen when my class is only about coloring in isolation, cutting in isolation, and nothing is related to what is happening in the life of our kids. The second characteristic that I think we should bear in mind is that the pre-K teacher is an enhancer of knowledge. When I graduated from my university many years ago, I look younger, but it was many years ago. I remember that a lot of my friends said, I don't want to be a preschool teacher because if I go to preschool, my English is going to be reduced. I am going to lose the fluency. I am not going to be learning. And I had always been thinking about that. And I say why? If you go to preschool, is where language is happening, is where we are constructing knowledge, where things are happening. So definitely language happens there, but maybe what we need is a teacher who is aware of that and who is really thinking that he or she, that the teacher is enhancing knowledge. And for that, and I invite you to go to Perrenot. For that, we need to be a designer of a learning scenario. Okay? A learning scenario. The preschool classroom is a learning scenario, and it is amazing because it's where all these subjects that are not subjects are called dimensions get together, right? But we need a teacher who orchestrates that and starts understanding that the kids are in the most important and fabulous moment of their learning. I think that I need help with the mic. Somebody is using mic. Yes, thank you. Okay. And one thing that this preschool teacher or pre-K teacher has to start understanding is that we are managers of the difference, of heterogeneity. I don't understand why we have this idea, or we used to have that idea, that everybody was going to be learning at the same pace, the same topic, the same concepts at the same time. I have been talking to my preschool teachers lately, and a lot of parents are very worried because the kids are not producing the same, because my kid is using the language in this way and the other is not using the language in this way. And maybe it's because we need teachers who are really aware of the process, understanding that everybody has a different way of learning, and we take time. We take time. I don't know you guys, but there are things that I am still learning. And I talk to my friends and I am amazed when they say, wow, this is clear. It's clear for them, not for me. So imagine what is happening in the pre-K teacher. Something that we consider obvious for the teacher or for that student that is more active and more and participates all the time. It's not for that kid that is afraid of English. And it's afraid of English not because of previous experiences, but because of things that they started listening in their houses at home about English. Okay. And that English teacher that is designing a learning scenario, that is understanding that everybody goes in a different pace, is keeping the process, is understanding that Claudia has a process, Jair has a process, Jairo has a process. And that is the amazing thing about preschool. We are not in a hurry of showing parents grades, right? We are not in a hurry of showing elements to the others. We are just in a scenario where everybody is living in a community and is learning. And you're going to be saying, like, Claudia, you are a dreamer. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And I have been working with 400 teachers here in Medellin, and we dream the same. And in a way, slowly, we are making some changes. And we are also affecting the policy making uh, issues in terms of pre-K. Okay. And that teacher, since it's not an entertainer, it's a professional teacher, that teacher is reflecting upon the practice. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And why is that having the results that is having? And what do I have to do? If I have to change the cycle, I change the cycle. Before moving, I want to show you, this is one monster we did in one of our SIG meetings. I don't know if in Cali or in Neiva with teachers. And this was an activity that we work based on the human dimensions, okay? That are the ones work in preschool, especially in Colombia. Okay, so me, the pre-K English teacher, I have to start thinking about innovation, right? What is happening right now with the pandemic is telling me that I have to modify the way I am teaching. And a lot of people were telling me, and what happened? What happens to those schools where the kids don't have a computer, where the kids don't have internet? Well, teachers are moving, right? Some teachers have opened YouTube channels. And if you want, I will share with you some experiences through mail. Uh, they are recording podcasts, they are designing material, and they are sending that material to the cell phones via WhatsApp to parents. They are creating communities with parents in order for the kids to continue learning English, right? But let's ignore the pandemic. Let's say we are in the classroom. What do we have to do? Well, we have to start thinking about what is that my kids are in need of, and how am I going to do it? And here it's going to appear another romantic idea, and it's that we need to love our students. And I'm not talking about romantic love. I'm talking about love. That love that is human, that love that makes me care about you, that love that makes you care about me, and that makes us move into the design of a process where we learn together, in order to understand that that little one that is 4, 5, or 6 is a human being I care about. And it's a human being that is learning with me. And I am learning with him or with her. And I need to negotiate learning with them. And I need to regulate the process. Because sometimes when we say that we have to love our students, people start thinking that love is like allowing them to do whatever they want and do not have clear ideas of what has to be happening in the preschool classroom. Yeah, and if you think I'm crazy, that's good, because that means we could have a discussion later on. Okay. Well, the pre-K English teacher, and I am going to write all the time language, and there needs to transcend the language. English is not a subject in pre-K. English is another way of communication along with Spanish. And it has to be a vivid experience. If we want our kids to really use English, to really use Spanish, we need to start creating of that classroom, creating in that classroom a experience where communications, ideas, words are used naturally, right? But they don't know English. Well, they are learning English. They don't know Spanish. Well, they are learning Spanish. And they have a person who speaks English and a person who speaks Spanish, or a person who speaks English and other languages, and could create an experience where languages are for the expression of feelings, ideas, and words. I have a nephew. He's 2 years old. Amazing. He's going to like this nursery thing. And right now they're teaching English through Zoom, I guess. And he hasn't learned to say blue in Spanish. He says blue in English, right? But when his mom says azul in Spanish, he goes and shows azul in a normal way. So for him, English is becoming like natural, right? There's going to be a moment where he's going to be using English or Spanish naturally, right? And we need to start thinking about that. And I'm going to say something, I am against those scenarios where we say to our students only English because Spanish is forbidden. Imagine a preschooler that is trying to have as change of feelings with you, of ideas with you, and is just learning some words, some expressions and in English, some words and some expressions in Spanish, and you are not allowing the kid to communicate with you, right? What you're doing is that you are destroying that interaction that has to be natural in your classroom, that trust that the kid needs to have with the teacher, right? When we start saying that the other language, either this one or the other, is not going to be used in the classroom, the kid immediately is going to be saying like, why? This is my language. What is going to happen? They are pretty intelligent. They are amazing. Their constructions are amazing. So they need a teacher who teach them that these two languages live together in the same classroom. I'm going to read one of the questions that I have here in the chat. We need to teach with love, especially with little ones, to make them feel comfortable to participate and to interact with the rest as natural as they could. I definitely think that we need to do that in like all levels of education. We need to love our students. We need to love our students. It doesn't matter how difficult the subject is. There must be an environment of interaction, motivation, and positive attitude. So they could feel that what is happening there is something for their moment, for now, not for the future. I also disagree with this statement that said, I am sending my kid to this school for the future. We're not sending the kids to the school for the future. We're sending the kids to the school for the moment, for this moment, for now. So the experiences they live there must be relevant, natural, and positive. And Seila Catherine, totally agree. They feel and share their experiences in their mother tongue. We should validate their subjectivity by listening and caring about them. Thank you, Seila. I am going to conclude this slide with this phrase from the movie Avatar. And for me, it's one of the uh, positive elements of the movie. I love the movie, and it's I see you. I see you. Do we see our students? Do we see who they are? That little one or that little boy or that little girl that is 4, that is like going into a classroom with a teacher who is speaking English all the time, which is good too, but it's not listening to me and it's not allowing him or her to communicate feelings, ideas. So that's not a way of learning the language. That is a way of rejecting the language. Okay, let me move to the next. So me, as the pre-K English language teacher, I should be thinking that I am a person, a teacher, a tutor, and a facilitator, motivator, who transform myself, him or her. I have to start transforming who I am into a practitioner. It's not just saying that we have to teach what the book is telling us to teach, or it's just teaching what the government is telling us to teach. We could do that, but we could make changes that respond to that community and that connect knowing, being, and doing with an intention. And our intention should be in the pre-K classroom is to transform ourselves and to transform our kids, right? This is something we wrote with Professor Liliana Maria Maturana. and we have been working with pre-K teachers a lot of time. Uh, I have to tell you that I love pictures and I love paintings, and so in this presentation, you're going to be like some pictures from our special interest group, some other like murals, and some other like pieces of art, but they were selected in order to for me to represent what I was feeling when I was planning this exercise to be shared with you today. So the children, the child, the pre-K English learner. It's a human being full of possibilities. And here I am going to be very philosophical. Our kids are possible. They are a project, but they are also reality. Do I know who they are being? And I'm not saying who they are, no, who they are being, because the subject we are, it's always in construction. Are we really aware of the way they learn? Because I know that we have a lot of theory, and you're going to be telling me, yes, the kids need this, the kids need this and need the other things. No. Well, are we really aware of that? Are we really aware that maybe we are in a community who is having a lot of trouble, and our kids go to the pre-K classroom without breakfast, without materials, and that's why they are not learning what we think they should learn, and we are not looking at them, and we're not paying attention to them, and so they're not responding. And then we start saying like, no, is that they don't learn. Well, they are not showing that because we are not looking at them, and because we are not really focusing on what we have to focus. And it's like in that community we are, and what is happening in that community, and how they are learning. Do we really know how they learn languages? I still listen to people saying that is that the kids repeat and repeat and repeat, and they are parrots and they are sponges. And I say, well, they repeat ideas, maybe one day or the other, but that is not true. I mean, that is not true. They think. They think. I am the mother of two kids, and trust me, when they were in preschool and in elementary, wow, they were all the time looking at the ideas that their teachers were saying and sharing with them, and they were like, in a way, saying, "What do you think about this?" With their English and with their Spanish, but they were not repeating. They start judging. They start asking. They start like thinking critically. So we don't have to wait for them to be in elementary or in fifth grade or in high school for them to think. And so my second or my first element here is we need to start thinking that they learn differently. Forget about that worksheet. Forget about the book that is just for coloring. Forget about telling the kid to color for 45 minutes and just to color and to color and to color. I love coloring, yes, but if we're going to be coloring in the classroom, let's make it meaningful. Let's make of that something that is allowing my kids to develop motivation, to develop social skills, and at the same time to develop critical elements, right? Where they express their feelings, where they express the human beings they are. I love this picture. You know, I want to have the hair like that one. That's why I'm always wearing like braids and things like that. So this human being that is the pre-K student is a human being that has to be as a whole, a person with dimensions. And sometimes we forget that. We just pay attention to the communicative dimension and to the cognitive dimension. And we ignore the socioaffective dimension. I don't know you, but when I learned English, I did it because it was something related to my emotion. My emotion. I felt the passion of talking to others, to know about them. And I knew that English and like a little bit of French that I speak, were going to help me with that, right? But sometimes we just listen to the teacher saying, this is very difficult. You don't have a good pronunciation. And we are like telling them that we don't see possibilities in them. The children we have there is a physical being. They need to be moving. Right now, for me, it's very difficult because I'm like sitting here and I need movement, right? So imagine the kids. How are they moving? What is the sense of their bodies that they are like developing in your English class? And I'm not talking just about the hockey pokey or turn to the left or turn to the right. It's like, how do we connect those elements that we are working in the language classroom with their representation and their understanding of their body? I mean, my body is part of who I am. So I need to start communicating with it. Not only my words, I am everything. And sometimes we forget that in our classes, not only coloring. It's okay to disagree with me if you want, don't worry. That little one, that student is spiritual. And I am not talking about religion. No, I am talking about that dimension that is important in preschool, where the kid starts taking care of himself and the others. When I start understanding that that little one that goes to school with me, that looks differently physically, is the same. We are alike. We are the same kind. And I need to respect that human being, and that human being needs to respect me and needs to care about me. And sometimes in preschool, we ignore those elements and we don't teach kids to respect because we are very busy teaching colors. We are very busy teaching school objects. We're very busy teaching chants and songs and taking care of the pronunciation, which is very important. But imagine lovely pronunciation, amazing intonation, in a person that is not respecting the others, and in a person that is not taking care of the person who or she is. The static dimension, and I'm not saying that everybody's going to color in the same way, but it's like how important it is to promote creativity, to promote in our students to understand that I represent a lot of feelings, emotions, and ideas that I am going to be using in English and in Spanish through arts, through my representation of ideas, right? And how do we allow our kids to give meaning to what they are doing? We still have the same worksheets with the same drawing, the same representation of the family, the same representation of the boy, the same representation of the girl. And when they dare to represent those things different, we start becoming like thinking about, hey, what's wrong with this kid? Well, that kid comes from a different scenario and has a different perception, I'm sorry, and it's okay. It is okay. When we take this human being as the human being, not someone that is being like studying for the future. I hate that. No, they are not studying for the future. They are going to the school for the present. We start understanding that that human being in the English classroom with the help of the pre-K teacher is building self-acceptance, others' acceptance, values, knowledge, and concepts, and that we are not helping them to be ready for first grade or second grade. No, they are in preschool and they are being ready for leaving preschool. Something that the student and the teacher need to start doing in the preschool classroom is to build a community. And that community, it's going to have two languages, English and Spanish. And they need to start like having ideas to be shared together to be cherished together and to be like lived as a possibility. So we need to see our students as possible. They are going through a phase, maybe. They're having problems today. Those situations are going to change if they know that they have a teacher who cares. If they know that they have a teacher who is the creator of possibilities. I remember my pre-K teacher when I was a pre-K student. Wow, she was amazing. Even though I was terrible at coloring, she was like guiding me in like finding other ways of coloring, finding other ways of representing my world. But sometimes we listen to teachers and we listen to parents saying like, no, is that my kid? It's not very good because the pronunciation is not accurate. Or listen, when he is coloring, the lines are not. No, no, no. We need a teacher who understands that we are a community that is different, that we are not homogeneous, and that I need to provide possibilities for my students. I'm sorry, I have a concert outside. The dogs are like happy. And we need to start thinking of our classroom as this milieu for the connection of learning and cognition. Those kids are processing through their emotions, through their body. And when they are feeling well, when they are having a well being situation, and when they are having an accurate learning process, they are learning English. And maybe you were expecting a lot of activities today. Yes? Well, you have to invite me again. But today, what I was thinking is like, I need to share with the teachers in Colombia that we need to start going deeper into what being a preschool teacher is. Because every time we select an activity or we select material, it is not simply because we need it for the class. No, it is because we are designing a scenario where everything is possible, right? And where we are giving possibilities for human development. And for this, I chose this amazing like portrait, I guess. It's called The Learning Tree. It's by someone from India. So we need to create a community. And when I say we, I am calling all the teachers, pre-K teachers. We need to become a community with voice, right? A community that really understand that the kid is a human being, younger, but full of possibilities. And it's a younger human being that needs to be loved, that needs someone who believes in his or her abilities, someone that is valued, and someone that is encouraged. And I want you to think of your pre-K teachers. How did they encourage you? I remember my teacher, Angela. Her name was Angela. And thanks to her, I love poetry and I love reading and, of course, talking, right? And I also remember some of my kids' preschool teachers, and I remember how they motivated them to learn to write, to move, to dance, right? And they were feeling value. And I know that today we're talking about pre-K, but what about childhood, infancy? One of the very first problems that I had with one of my kids was when his math teacher in certain grade told him that he was not good for math. And she told him like, Ave Maria Samuel, you have changed. Yeah, he knows that I used him. I asked for permission. Based on that comment, my kid was feeling that he was not valued, that he was not allowed to make mistakes. And because of that, a lot of separation and a lot of problems appear with the class. A lot of our kids are not learning and are not doing what they have to do in preschool because we don't see them. I see you. I don't see you today, but I see names. I say Jair, Jairo, Jessica, Seila. I see names, and I hope to have faces for those names. Do we have students with faces, or we just have students there? That kid that has problems with pronunciation, that kid that has problems because like homework is never ready, or do we have that kid with a name and we understand that it's going through a situation in his life and needs a teacher, part of his community, because we are part of the community that is helping him and is making him feel encouraged. And again, I am a very romantic teacher. It doesn't mean that I don't get upset sometimes, but I am very romantic. And I think that we could make the difference in pre-K if we really start giving our kids the respect and the possibilities they need. Regarding the community that I am like inviting you to create, and actually this space is a community, we need to start understanding that the teachers, we need to uh, know how to get together. That is one of the biggest abilities and competency that we need. But it is not just like criticizing the system. It is okay to criticize the system, but what are we going to do? I always tell my students that when I close the door, we are the owners of the community. So we create a space where we believe in ourselves and we teach together because they are teaching me and I am teaching them, right? So I need to listen to my kids, but I need to work with the preschool teachers. I love, thank you for your beautiful comments. I am very distracted by now. I need I need to call the pre-K teacher that works in the other classroom. I need to call my pre-K teachers in Medellin, in Bogota, in New York, wherever you are, and start talking, saying, hey, what are we going to do together? How are we going to mobilize pre-K, right? It's not just cleaning things. It's not just coloring. I was talking to a friend. She's going through a difficult moment, and it's because in her school, they were telling her that she has to entertain the kids and keep them busy. And we were like, what? We don't go to school to be busy. No, we go to be the human being we are. And we go to enrich our humanity through education. That's what education is for. Not just for testing, not just for giving homework or coloring to the kids, but we need to make the change. Who starts that change? The teacher, creating a community. And that's why I think that I was so nervous today, because this is a community that I respect. And this is a community that I think has a strong voice, not only now, not only in Colombia, right? And we need to be together, thinking of ideas to improve pre-K, English, Spanish, any language community in our classes, so that our kids are doing what they have to do. Thank you, Daisy. So my invitation is for you guys. Let's build a community, a pre-K teachers community. That pre-K English teacher, also Spanish here in Colombia, needs to understand that, yes, I have some requirements. There are guidelines by Ministerio de Educación Nacional, by Secretaría de Educación, but I don't have to do exactly what it says. I could reach what they are looking for, but I need to transform the school plan for the context. And sometimes the context is my single classroom, the needs of my classroom. I know that we are obsessed of saying that in pre-K1, pre-K2, pre-K3, they are teaching the same at the same time because the kids have to be developing the same things at the same time. That doesn't happen. But sometimes we are so shy, we are so quiet that we don't raise our voice. I'm not calling you to go to riots. I'm saying like, we are the academic ones. We need to say, listen, in my classroom, I need to make this modification because the needs of my students are this one, right? Sometimes they gave us a lot of material, beautiful material, and we have to use it today, page 1, tomorrow, page 3, the next day, page 4, because it was very expensive or because it was a present by a sponsor. So we need to use it. But why? If we don't need it, why are we going to use it? If it is not fulfilling the needs of our community, if it is not respecting the community, why do we have to use it? My point here is every time we are selecting something for our class, that material, any type of material, any type, high tech, common material, like for example, this needs to have a purpose. And that purpose is the possibility of helping that human being to learn English, to communicate who he is at that moment. So we need to create materials. We need to adapt materials. Right now, with this pandemic, we have a lot of resources, and some schools don't have any resources. But I have seen a lot of my friends creating videos with YouTube channel. I have a friend, her name is Christina. I'm going to, if you write to me, I will share her YouTube channel with you. She's not an English teacher. She's a pre-K English teacher, right? She's learning English at the same time with her students. She was studying some English, so she dares to do some things. But she's so happy with the idea of the possibility that languages offer to their kids that she's a constant learning. And right now, she opened a YouTube channel and she plans activities and sessions for her students. And she calls a friend or she calls me for for help, like, hey, shall I say this or is this okay? And we are very happy because it's like, hey, we are a community. When you have a doubt, when you're not sure about something, you don't stop doing what you're doing. You're going to, yes, I will share the link with you in a moment if I can like look at it for that, right? Eh, that person is adapting, right? So we need to start adapting. I'm going to read here what Daisy is saying. Choosing textbooks or other kind of materials have to do yes, it has to be very careful. Otherwise, we will be facing a problem. Yes, because they are not relevant or interesting for the learners. And definitely, if we want a connection, if we want motivation and we want positive learning, the material has to be attractive, has to be meaningful, and has to be based on the learning strategies and possibilities of the classes. And here, this is not just for pre-K, it's for every kind of a student, right? We need to move from the idea of English as a subject. English is not a subject. English, as Spanish, as other language in preschool, is part of the scenario, right? One of the situations that we have sometimes is that it is, especially in schools in Colombia, it is English time, right? Imagine in preschool. So they have dimensiones all the time and they have amazing activities together. But when it comes to English, it is a separated class, isolated, that doesn't have any relation with the topic or the project or the exercise they had been working in the other part of the class. So we start making distinctions like, no, English is not for the spiritual dimension, it's not for the aesthetic dimension, it's just for the communicative dimension. And English is just for the English teacher. We need to start, we need to start creating spaces where Now they're having a happy birthday song in front of me. They need to know that that English, it's for every situation in the class, for saying hi, for saying goodbye, for saying, may I go to the bathroom, even in the middle of a Spanish class, right? We have been working on that, and we suggest the use of rituals, not routines. And we call it rituals because it has to be something that is planned, something that is meaningful, something that you are going to be missing if it doesn't happen at the very beginning. For example, for me, a ritual in my classes is to read, is to read something, to share something with my kids. Or, well, my kids sometimes they have different age, they are different, yes, they have different ages. So what rituals are we developing? What sense of community are we developing? In how are we making the kids saying, teacher, there was not a story today, or teacher, what about the song today, or teacher, those little things that sometimes for us is just like, are just like boring, right, in the checklist, are the way for them to start making connections between English and between what they want to do. Okay, I was checking the time. Like, to conclude, we need to start thinking if in our class, in our community, we have built a space for learning, progress, and human development. And human development. This is so hard to be reading the messages and avoid distractions. So the pre-K classroom is for human development. And who are the humans being possible there? The teacher and the student. That's why I selected my favorite painter, it's Klimt, and I selected for this the tree of life. And I want you to think of this. When we are there, when we are in our process of education with our kids, we are offering life to them and they are offering life to us. And we are connected, we are interconnected. Learning is happening, progress is happening, and human development, is happening. That's why we should go to the pre-K English classroom. I will share this presentation with all of you. This is an activity we do with some of our teachers when we're having workshops, right? And I wrote to 10 of my teachers and I asked them, like, hey, teacher, answer these questions to me, right? All of them were amazing. And it was difficult for me just to select some of them, right? And when I was like asking them, hey, let's define the roles of the English teacher in the pre-K classroom, and let's define the roles of the children in the pre-K English classroom. They gave me amazing answers, and I'm going to share this one with you. The pre-K English learner is an active agent in the process. The child discovers and is discovered. Question, questions, relates, connects the different learning experiences with being and with the surrounding. And I want you to think of this. When you go to preschool, the kids are always like saying, today we did this, the teacher said this, and we were then doing this, and we question this, right? And it's an amazing process. But when they move to other levels, every time you say, hey, what happened at school today? They say, nothing, nothing, nothing. It's because that is the magic issue in pre-K, that we are connected, that we are seeing that education is for human development, right? And the last of my teachers, my friends' answers was this one. The role of the student, the role of the teacher is to generate environments that enhance favorable attitudes for the use of the language as such. Enriched environments for the good perception of the language and the abandonment of the fear transmitted by adults. I don't know if I answered your questions today or if I raise other questions today, but I am like really happy of having shared with you my like constructions, some of the constructions we had been doing in our SIG with our pre-K teachers. And here I am. If you have any comment, any question, any idea, and I really thank you for your attention, for all these comments that they were amazing and kind of distracting me. Here I am. Hit me. No, Naira Quintero. You raise your hand, right? Go ahead.
Unmute your mic, please.
Yes, you need to unmute your mic, Naira. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, that's okay. Okay, I just want to say one comment that is for children, the pre-K teacher is a great model to follow. I have a son, and for me it is very difficult to correct my son. I have realized that they have a great influence on my son. So I tried to correct, and he said, "No, mommy, no, my teacher said that, or my teacher said this." So
Yes.
I think that the most important teacher in the life of my son
It's preschool.
is school. Yeah, I think that it's not a grade, it's a level, I don't know how to say this, but it's the most important part of the life.
Like, yeah, the level, like here it's like pre-K, K, transition, and allow me to say first, second, and third grade
Yeah.
teachers. I mean, the others are very important. We love you too, guys, but these teachers are the ones that are empowering the kids, like not only for English, but for all this like learning scenario and for all this human development.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Neida.
Claudia, you see the question there stated by Daisy. She says, it was quite valuable. Thank you. How can we teach quotation marks values to our learners?
I think that Daisy, like we don't teach values, we live values, right? So we need to create an environment where respect is present all the time, right? I think that the first thing that we have to do is by letting them know that we know who they are and they need to know who we are and that we are human beings that need respect. So we need to create an atmosphere where with little things we say hello, right? We say please, we say thank you, and we do not accept things that are not positive. For example, calling names, right? For example, not listening to the others, right? So it is not like the value of the week, I guess. It is like how to create an environment where we are a community with certain rules that are like negotiated and that appear like one by one in order to be together, right? Because sometimes, and maybe I understand what you're saying because it has happened to me, it's like the value of the week, the value of the week. No, the values of the week are all the values. Maybe the word that represents the value is one thing. So I think that we have to create a community of respect. And that's how we teach values and we learn values and we live values. Thank you, Daisy, for your question. Do we have more questions? Jair, I am blind. That's why I'm
It's
wearing my
okay.
glasses today.
Don't worry. Don't worry. It's okay. No, once again, there are no more questions, but of course there are many comments and many thanks. They are attendees are super happy of having been able to hear from you. So that is basically what we have here. So thank you very much. That was great and awesome and all those things that are
It
super
was
useful.
awesome to be here. It was I was like telling Jair that I was so nervous because I am always nervous. Okay, but thank you.
No. So once again, thank you. Claudia, very much for this super interesting um, talk. It was
Thank you.
not, I would say, I didn't want to say talk, but this was like more like a conversation. And I guess as well as most of us, I was taking notes, like this not only helps me as a teacher, but also helps me as a father and as an adult who deals at any time with kids. So
Yes,
yes, so this is super interesting.
and
And
in
yeah,
in our parenting, that we need this, because sometimes we forget that they are
yes,
like living with us and they are human beings, right? They are not frozen there waiting like to become older. No, they are being, and they need to be respected at all the time. Hmm?
yep, absolutely. So once again, thank you very much.
You're very
Thank you
welcome.
all for having once again come to this space for learning, for exchanging ideas, and well, I will see you next Thursday again, 5 p.m. Colombian time, and please spread out the word. Every Thursday at 5, we have a Socopi's webinar. And once again, thank you, Claudia, for this
Thank
wonderful
you.
talk. Thank you very much for leading this special interest group that is super important as well. And well, I will see you around. Have a great rest of the night. Please take good care, and I will see you in a week time. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.